What if fear was never real? What if the voice that held you back your whole life was never yours? Just noise, just illusion. And what if today was the day you stopped listening? The day you ripped the mask off fear and saw it for what it really is, a shadow, not a wall. A whisper, not a law. You weren't born with fear. You were taught to fear. Taught to doubt. Conditioned to question your own fire. But here's the truth. Every time you gave in to fear, it stole something from you. An opportunity, a relationship, a version of yourself you were meant to become. And you didn't lose those things because you weren't good enough. You lost them because you paused. You hesitated. You let the imaginary become real. But now you see it. Fear isn't a signal to stop. It's proof you're close. Close to the edge of your comfort. Close to the truth you've been avoiding. Close to your next breakthrough. Most people feel fear and pull back. Winners feel fear and step forward. Because they know something most don't. Fear only has power if you feed it. And how do you feed fear? With doubt. With delay? With small decisions that say, maybe later. But today, we break that pattern. Today, you don't freeze. You fire. You don't negotiate with your doubt, you destroy it. Because fear is clever, but you're committed. Fear is loud, but your vision is louder. You've spent enough of your life building cages. Now it's time to burn them. One step at a time. One bold decision after another. Until fear is just a memory and freedom is your new home. You weren't meant to shrink. You were born to expand. You weren't designed to hide. You were created to rise. Fear doesn't own your mind. You do. So reclaim it. Stand tall. And act like the version of yourself that fear never wanted you to meet. Because that version, that's who you really are. You want to destroy fear? Then stop treating it like a guest. Kick it out. Shut the door behind it. You've let it live rent-free in your mind for too long. You've dressed it up in logic. You've called it being realistic. You've used it to justify staying stuck. But fear isn't protecting you, it's paralyzing you. You don't need more preparation. You don't need more time. You need to move. Take the first step. Say the thing. Launch the idea. Apply, ask, begin. Because fear waits for hesitation, and hesitation is where dreams die. You know this. You've lived it. How many times have you held back only to regret it later? That silence, that stillness, that's fear winning. But not today. Today you interrupt the cycle. You speak before you're ready. You act before you feel certain. Because confidence isn't what kills fear, courage is. And courage is action in the presence of fear, not the absence of it. Every fear you face weakens the next one. Every time you do the hard thing, your power grows. And soon, fear shrinks to a whisper, a background noise you barely notice. That's where you're headed. But only if you keep going, keep moving, keep choosing growth over comfort. That's how fear dies. Not in one dramatic moment, but in thousands of tiny victories, one after another. Every time you show up, every time you try again, every time you get back up. This is how you become unstoppable. Not because fear vanished, but because it no longer controls you. Look back at your life. What did fear cost you? A relationship you didn't pursue? A dream you didn't chase? A version of yourself you abandoned? That's the toll of fear. It steals silently, and you pay in regret. But you have something now you didn't have before. Awareness. You see the pattern. You see how fear disguises itself as reason. And now, you break that illusion. No more waiting. No more playing small. You've lived that chapter, it's over. Turn the page. Step into the discomfort. Because that's where the change lives. That's where the freedom is. People think success is talent. It's not. It's persistence. It's showing up when others run. It's making moves even when your hands shake. That's real strength. Not perfection, but resilience. Not clarity, but action in the fog. That's the way forward. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it's scary. But fear has one weakness: momentum. Fear hates motion. It thrives on stillness. The moment you move, fear weakens. That's why your greatest power is doing. Not thinking, not talking, but doing. Even if it's messy, even if it's small, even if no one sees it but you. That's how you build courage. That's how you earn freedom. One fearless step at a time. So take it. Now, what if I told you that fear has been lying to you? That voice saying you're not ready? It's false. That feeling in your chest? It's energy, not danger. You were taught to run from it, but champions run toward it. Because they understand something simple: growth only happens in the fire. And fear is the flame that forges strength. You want to be powerful? Then get comfortable being uncomfortable. You want to be free? Then learn to move through fear, not around it. Everything you want is on the other side of resistance. The life you dream of? It's not hiding. It's waiting. Waiting for you to stop hesitating. Waiting for you to step through the fear and claim it. Most people won't. They'll stay in their bubble. Safe, predictable, numb. But not you. Because you've seen the truth. You've felt the frustration of playing small. You've heard the call for more. And you can't unhear it. So rise. Take the shot. Say yes, even if your knees shake. Even if your voice trembles. Even if fear screams no. Because every time you choose growth over comfort, you win. Not just in results, but in identity. You become someone new. Someone unshakable. Someone who doesn't wait for fear to leave, but moves anyway. That's how legacies are built. That's how fear is destroyed. Forever. Then stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for perfect timing. There is no perfect moment. Only this one. Right now. This is the moment you choose. To rise or to retreat. To evolve or to repeat. This is where you shift from maybe someday to I'm ready now. Because you are. You've always been. You just needed to remember. You just needed to believe again. So take this moment. Burn the excuses. Step through the fear. And become the person fear was trying to hide from you. Because this is not the end. This is the beginning. Of something bigger. Of someone braver. Of a life designed by courage, not controlled by fear. You're not here to survive fear. You're here to crush it. To silence it. To rise above it so completely it never dares speak again. That power? It's already inside you. Now prove it. With action. With intensity. With relentless forward motion. Because the world doesn't need more fear. It needs more you. Fear thrives in silence. It grows when you avoid it. It multiplies when you pretend it's not there. But the moment you face it, name it, confront it, you steal its power. And fear hates that. Because fear isn't built on facts. It's built on stories. Stories you tell yourself. I'm not good enough. I'll fail. They'll judge me. Those aren't truths. They're scripts. And you have the pen. You can rewrite them. Replace I'm not ready with I'm becoming. Replace what if I fail with what if I grow. Replace I'm scared with I'm alive. Because fear isn't the enemy of success. It's the signal you're on the edge of it. Let that feeling fuel you. Let it remind you that what you're doing matters. The people who succeed aren't fearless. They've just learned to listen to fear without obeying it. They feel the tremble and move anyway. They doubt themselves and still step forward. That's what greatness looks like. Not comfort, not ease, but movement, repeated, relentless. You know what fear really is? A test, not of your strength, but of your belief. Do you believe in your mission enough to move with trembling hands? Do you believe in your future enough to step forward without guarantees? That's the question fear asks. And your answer isn't words. It's motion. Your answer is the application you send when your voice shakes. It's the conversation you have when your heart pounds. It's the decision to act when everything in you wants to wait. Because waiting never silences fear. It strengthens it. The longer you hesitate, the louder fear becomes. And soon, it sounds like truth, but it's not. It's just noise. And you're done listening. You're done giving fear the microphone. Now you take the stage. You speak over the noise. You move through the resistance, because the life you want isn't handed to the fearless. It's earned by the bold. And you've already decided. You're done waiting for perfect conditions. You're done playing small to avoid discomfort. Now you choose discomfort on purpose. Because comfort never built anything worth remembering. You know what happens when you face fear? It shrinks. The giant in your mind becomes a shadow in the light. You realize it wasn't a wall. It was a curtain. And behind it, opportunity, growth, everything you thought was out of reach. But fear blurred your vision. Now you see clearly. You were never weak. You were never broken. You just listened to the wrong voice for too long. And now you don't. Now you hear a different voice. The one that says, keep going. The one that says, you're built for this. The one that says, this is your time. Because it is. Your time to rise. Your time to lead. Your time to take everything fear said you couldn't have and claim it. That version of you you've glimpsed in your mind, the one who walks boldly, speaks clearly, acts decisively, that's not a fantasy. That's your future. And it's waiting. Not patiently, but urgently. Because you were never meant to crawl. You were born to charge, to break chains, to light fires, to walk into rooms and shift energy. And that starts now. Every great leader once stood where you are, uncertain, anxious, full of doubt, but they moved anyway. And that's the difference. Not talent, not luck, motion. They didn't wait to feel ready. They acted until readiness caught up. They walked into fear and found freedom. Now it's your turn. You need more truth. And the truth is, you've been preparing for this moment your entire life. Every setback sharpened you. Every rejection refined you. Every delay built resilience. And now it's time to collect. To take everything you've learned and apply it with force. You will not let fear steal another moment. You will not let comfort be your cage. You will break patterns. You will shatter ceilings. You will show up boldly, even when your voice shakes. Because this world doesn't need more silent dreams. It needs loud action. You were born for action, not waiting, not wishing, not wondering. Action. And you start now. Do you want to know who you really are? You're not your fears. You're not your failures. You're not your past. You are your decision. This moment, this choice, that's who you are. Because when the pressure rises and fear screams, most freeze. You move, you speak, you decide. And that decision rewrites everything. You're not waiting to feel brave. You're choosing bravery now. That's what changes lives. Not motivation, not hype. Choice, repeated, relentless, ruthless. Every day you choose discomfort over regret. Every hour you choose action over avoidance. Every moment you silence the voice that says not yet, with movement that says right now. This is how you destroy fear. Not in a burst, but in a rhythm of courage, a rhythm of decision, a rhythm of showing up over and over and over again, until fear forgets your name, until doubt avoids your presence, until the only voice you hear is the one that says, keep going, because you're just getting started. You destroy fear by becoming predictable to it, predictably relentless, predictably unstoppable, predictably bold, so bold that fear no longer feels invited, because you act without asking, you rise without reason, you advance without approval, and fear, it gets tired of trying, because every time it whispers, don't, you roar back, watch me. That's the war you win every day, not against the world, but against hesitation, against doubt, against the habit of hiding. You're breaking that now, with every step, every risk. Every time you stand up and say, this is who I am, because the world needs your voice, not an edited version, not a muted version, the full, loud, unapologetic version, the one fear tried to quiet, but failed. You're not here to be a watered-down version of yourself. You're here to shake the ground when you walk in, and that ground starts rumbling now. You weren't born to whisper. You were born to command, to speak life, to shift energy, to walk into resistance and make it move. You are not just here to survive fear. You're here to replace it with power. Your power, not borrowed, not conditional, yours. The kind that can't be taught, only activated. And you activate it by moving when it's easier to wait, by speaking when it's safer to be silent, by leading when it's comfortable to follow. This is who you are. Not someone searching, someone stepping in, to purpose, to alignment, to identity. You are done second-guessing, done tiptoeing, done apologizing for your fire. Because fire was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to be seen, to lead, to light the path for others still stuck in the fog. You're the light. You are not becoming brave. You already are. Bravery is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to lead anyway. And today, you lead. You rise. You own the space you used to shrink in. You speak in the silence you once avoided. You move forward while others wait for a sign. Because you are the sign. You are the signal that fear has lost. That hesitation has expired. That your next chapter begins not when you feel ready, but when you act ready. And you just did. Because fear can't follow the focused. And you're just getting started. You think fear has the final word? Think again. The moment you decide to act, fear starts to lose power. Not because it disappears, but because you stop listening. You shift from doubt to direction, from hesitation to momentum. And that shift, that's where the new you begins. A version of you who doesn't wait for certainty. A version who understands that clarity comes from motion. You don't figure it all out and then move. You move, and that's how it all gets figured out. Fear thrives in pause. It multiplies in stillness. But the second you move, you break its grip. You are not fear's prisoner. You are its proof that it never held real power, only the illusion. And illusions vanish when confronted. So you confront. You lean in. You act anyway. That's what makes you unstoppable. There's a voice in your head that says, what if you fail? But here's a better question. What if you win? What if the risk you take becomes the reason everything changes? What if the step you're afraid of is the very one that sets you free? You see, fear tries to sell you a future where everything goes wrong. But you have the power to choose a different story. A future where everything aligns. Where your actions create momentum. Where each small decision builds a legacy. This isn't about waiting for inspiration. It's about creating it through courage. Every time you move forward, you prove fear wrong. And every time you shrink back, you give it life. So which version wins today? The one that hides or the one that dares? Because you can't be both afraid and free. You must choose, and you already know the answer. Freedom is earned through forward motion, so don't freeze. Move. Fear is a master of disguise. It wears the face of logic, of caution, of responsibility. But deep down, you know the truth. Fear doesn't want to protect you. It wants to delay you, to distract you, to dilute your power until you forget it was ever there. That ends now. You don't need permission to be powerful. You don't need a perfect plan to take action. You just need one reason, one vision, 1 ounce of belief that says, this matters. And that belief will carry you through storms, through setbacks, through silence. Because belief is louder than fear when you choose to listen. So listen closely. There's something inside you that wants to rise. Let it, even if it shakes. Let it rise, because the rise is the beginning of everything. Every step you take into the unknown rewrites your identity. You're not just chasing a dream. You're becoming someone new, someone who chooses courage daily, someone who doesn't negotiate with fear. You see, bravery isn't loud. It's consistent. It's the quiet choice to keep going when everything inside says stop. That's where transformation lives. Not in hype, but in habits. Not in moments, but in momentum. And momentum belongs to the one who refuses to stop. You don't need to feel strong. You need to move forward anyway. That's the game changer. That's how you earn the life you were meant to live. One brave moment at a time. One silent decision at a time. One act of courage no one sees but you. And those invisible moments, they shape everything. Because they prove something vital. You are not the fear. You are the one who walks through it. Think of everything you've survived. Every dark night, every silent battle, every setback that almost broke you. And yet you're here, still breathing, still standing, still trying. That is not weakness. That is proof of strength most people never recognize. You don't need external validation. You need internal permission. Permission to rise, to fight for yourself, to believe that you are worth the effort. You are not your mistakes. You are not your fears. You are not the voice that says, you'll never make it. You are the one who answers back, watch me. That's the energy you carry now. Not desperation, determination. And that shift changes everything. Not overnight, but moment by moment, until the breakthrough is no longer a wish, it's a result. There will always be fear, but fear doesn't get to lead anymore. Not after everything you've seen, not after everything you've learned. It can speak, but you don't have to listen. It can scream, but you don't have to stop. You owe fear nothing, but you owe your future everything. And your future is built by what you do now, not someday, not later. Now is where the momentum begins. Now is where the excuses die. Now is where your real life starts. So breathe, ground yourself, then move. Not for the applause, not for the validation, but for the version of you waiting on the other side of action, because they're already cheering, they're already proud. Now it's your job to meet them. Fear is persistent, but so are you. Fear repeats itself, but you respond with new strength each time. You've grown. You've built discipline. You've developed the power to pause and choose to not react. And in that choice, you reclaim authority. Not over the world, but over yourself. And that's where all true freedom starts. It starts when you stop letting fear narrate your life. It starts when you rewrite the script, line by line, decision by decision. You become the author of your courage. the architect of your strength. And that strength is contagious. It spreads. It inspires. It gives others permission to do the same. So keep choosing it, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's when it counts the most. You don't get stronger by avoiding resistance. You get stronger by facing it, by walking into discomfort and choosing growth over comfort. Every hard choice sharpens you. Every setback becomes training, not punishment preparation, because life isn't testing you, it's teaching you how to rise without applause, how to stand without certainty, how to act without permission. And every time you answer that call, you evolve. You stop being who you were and start becoming who you were always meant to be. That version is already inside you. It's waiting for your action to unlock it. So unlock it. Do the hard thing, again and again, until it becomes who you are. You were not built to break. You were built to rise, rebuild, and rise again. Even when the world doubts you. Even when no one claps. Even when your voice shakes and your hands tremble, you still move. And that movement changes everything. You change the narrative, from victim to creator, from hesitant to certain, from overwhelmed to unshakable. But it doesn't come from wishing. It comes from doing, from choosing power in the face of pressure, from stepping up when it's easier to back down. This is your time to lead your own mind, to walk through the fire and come out refined, not by chance, but by choice, because you finally remembered who you are. A force no fear can hold. So stand tall, breathe deep, and walk forward into your next level. Let fear witness your rise. Let doubt watch you build. Because the person who once felt powerless is now unstoppable. And this is only the beginning. There's more strength inside you than you've ever used, more courage than you've ever called on, more resilience than you've ever needed. And now is the moment to unleash it all. Not because it's easy, but because it's time. Time to own your story. Time to walk like you were born for this. Because you were. You are the answer. The fire. The force. And fear? Fear will never outrun someone who refuses to stop. You've battled fear. You've broken silence. You've chosen courage when doubt screamed the loudest. Now what? Now comes the part most never reach. The part where fear gets clever, where it shifts from loud panic to subtle whispers. You've done enough. Take it easy. Don't push too hard. But understand this. Fear evolves, and so must you. It will show up dressed as comfort, logic, even wisdom. But its goal is always the same. To stop you from rising higher, to make you forget how far you've come, to convince you that this is the finish line. But you know better. There is no finish line, only levels, and each level demands a stronger version of you. So you rise again. But because it's who you are now, you've crossed the line between hoping and becoming. You no longer wish for change, you execute it. You no longer fear the work, you crave it. You've become the kind of person who does hard things, and that's rare. Most run, most freeze, most fold under pressure. You've trained for this. Every setback was a rep, every rejection, a lesson, every delay, a sharpening of your will. You are no longer asking for permission. You are taking ground, quietly, relentlessly. And when fear sees that, it panics, because it knows it's losing. It knows your fire is now permanent, and it can't survive in your heat. This is where consistency becomes your identity. Not your habit, your identity. You don't just act with discipline. You are disciplined. You don't just have clarity. You embody it. You don't just chase your vision. You live it every single day. And that daily decision, is what builds empires, not the dramatic moves, but the invisible ones. The quiet moments where you choose greatness over comfort, where you wake up and go again, even when no one's watching, even when the results feel distant, you go again, because you're not addicted to outcomes. You're committed to the process. That's your edge. That's your advantage. And it's unstoppable. Because while the world waits for motivation, you move anyway. And that's why you're winning. Not loudly, but powerfully. Your silence is your strength. Your routine is your rebellion. In a world addicted to shortcuts, you've mastered the long game. And that terrifies the ones still searching for hacks. Because you've built something they can't copy. You've built mindset. You've built tenacity. You've built a relationship with discipline so strong that quitting is no longer an option. It doesn't even cross your mind. But because it's done, the decision was made. And you honor it daily. With every rep, every task, every choice. You honor the person you said you'd become. And because of that, you're no longer chasing greatness. You're becoming it. That's why the world starts to shift around you. Not because they change, but because you did. You no longer shrink to fit rooms that can't hold your ambition. You no longer dim your fire to make others comfortable. And in rising, you give others permission to rise too. But not everyone will join you. Some will resist. Some will mock. Some will disappear. Let them. Because this next level, it demands separation. It demands clarity. It demands full ownership of your energy. No more leaks. No more distractions. No more explanations. You are building something sacred now, and it requires full alignment. Mind, body, mission. So protect it. Say no with confidence. Say yes with purpose. Your time is your temple now, and not everyone gets access. Not because you're better, but because you're focused, and focus is expensive. It costs comfort. It costs approval. It costs the old version of you. But what you gain? Power, clarity, freedom. You no longer need validation. You've outgrown it. Your confidence is internal now, rooted in who you've become, built on proof, not praise. And that kind of confidence, it's magnetic. It's rare. It's untouchable. Because it doesn't depend on anything outside of you. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Because when life hits, you don't collapse. You recalibrate. You adjust. You rise again. Not weaker, but wiser. Not shaken, but sharpened. You've bled for this. You've cried in silence, rebuilt in private, and returned in strength. You know what it feels like to lose. That's why you win. Because you don't fear failure anymore. You respect it. You learn from it. You use it. You transform it. Pain doesn't paralyze you now. It fuels you. It shapes you. It sharpens every edge of your being. And that's what most don't understand. They think power is loud. But you've built quiet power. The kind that doesn't need to announce itself. The kind that walks in silence and commands respect. Not from noise, but from presence. You don't chase opportunities. You create them. You don't beg for seats at the table. You build your own. And the world? Eventually it notices. Because results speak louder than words. And yours? They echo. They leave a trail. Proof of what happens when a person goes all in. When they stop negotiating with fear and start dancing with their potential. And that's who you are now. A creator of momentum. A destroyer of excuses. A builder of reality. You don't wish anymore. You execute. You don't doubt your ability. You prove it daily, not for the world, but for yourself. Because the mission is bigger than applause. It's deeper than praise. It's about purpose. It's about alignment. It's about knowing that every move you make is carving a path for the next generation. That your discipline today is a lighthouse for someone else tomorrow. That your growth isn't just for you. It's for the legacy you're building, brick by brick, action by action, standard by standard. And that's why you don't quit, because every step matters. Every decision counts. Every moment of discomfort, it's building something. A sharper mind, a stronger will, a deeper purpose. So keep going. But because you're built for it, because this isn't a phase, it's your path, your calling, your code. And as long as you walk it with courage, conviction, and clarity, there is nothing you can't become, no level you can't reach, no fear you can't break. You are no longer hiding. You are becoming the example, the reminder, the proof that it's possible. So the next time fear whispers, you won't shrink, you'll smile. Because now you know the truth. Fear isn't a wall. It's a signal, a challenge, an invitation to rise, to expand. You're ready. Because you faced yourself. You've done the work. You've earned the fire in your eyes. And from this moment forward, there's no turning back. Only forward. Only deeper. Only stronger. Because you didn't just destroy fear. You became the reason it runs.